What is going on out there, Mountaineer Nation and fellow members of Couz's? What is going on, Couz's Corner family and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? I got tongue tied here on my intro. We are live. That's the beauty of live television, right? Can't screw it up. Can't edit it out. We're here tonight, kind of an impromptu live stream I decided to do because I had some extra time on my hands. Talk a little bit about what's going on with the Pac-12, the news about Colorado having a board meeting tomorrow, and what that could mean, if anything. And I hope to be joined here shortly by a channel some of you may be familiar with, Numbskull News. Numbskull News is supposed to be joining me here shortly. I'm still waiting on him to jump on here, but I didn't want to keep you fine folks waiting any longer. So we are here. As most of you probably already know, Colorado has a board meeting. Their Board of Regents has a board meeting scheduled for tomorrow, June 6th. I think it's around 3:30 p.m., if I'm not mistaken, Eastern time. You know, it is the agenda does say they are talking about athletics, but we don't know yet what that means. Could mean a lot of things. Uh, there's speculation out there that it could mean they're going to talk about the potential move or the move to the Big 12. Now, a public vote will have to take place before that can become official. And that can't be done tomorrow because it's not a public meeting. It's a closed door session. And it appears that it's going to be done over Zoom as well. So they likely won't be voting on anything tomorrow. However, doesn't mean they can't discuss it, doesn't mean they can't make sure they have the votes locked up before they actually hold a vote. Based on what I've read and researched, when they left the Big 12 about a decade ago, they actually announced that they made a decision that they were leaving the Big 12. They announced they were leaving the Big 12, and then the public vote didn't actually take place by the board until a few days later. So the vote does not have to happen tomorrow. At least that's my understanding. I'm no expert on the matter. That's just based on what I've read. I've been on the Colorado message boards trying to see what I can find out as well. Um, guys, real quick, before we get too far along here on the show, if you guys want to make sure I see your comment in the comment section in the chat, you can hit the $ where it says "say something." That will get your chat. That will get your comment highlighted. It will make sure that I see it, and we'll kind of put your chat, your comment will take precedence over everyone else's if that happens. What is going on, Numbskull News? How you doing?
What's up?
You're muted, man, and I can't see you or hear you. You hear me?
Can you hear me now? Hey, you got me now?
You hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, sorry guys, we're having technical problems here. I'm not sure what's going on. We'll take him out and put him back in, see what happens. Can you hear me now? All right. I'm going to send you the link again. Try it again. Okay. I'm going to take you out, remove you from the stream, and see if we can make this thing work. Sorry about this, guys. Like I said, this is the beauty of live television or live, in this case, YouTube, I guess. See if I can see if that works. I think the problem was on my end. You guys could hear him, and I couldn't. So what's that tell you? Whose fault was it? It was my fault. All right, who we got in the chat? We've got Max Schnell. Wish GBD could be here to see this occurring like he said it most likely would. Luis Carlos Diaz, SDSU. What's up, Luis? Mike Smith in the house. We've got Steve Davis, Craig Kirsch, Ron Lowney, Kyle Visser, Curtis D, West Virginia guy 56. What's up, guys? And Curtis D. Thank you all for hopping on. Chris Hall, Pac-10 schools add no value to the Big 12. I disagree with that. And let me see if we can get him on here. I'm texting him again to tell him it was an issue on my end. There we go.
Got me?
What's up?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm here, sir.
Yeah, I apologize for that. Now I couldn't see you earlier, but not being able to hear you was my fault.
Well,
I did not.
not seeing me is a blessing. So,
Well, you can say the same for me. So, but I didn't have my headphones plugged in. That's why I couldn't hear you.
oh, ain't no problem, man.
It's the beauty of live television, man. We are live and real.
Yeah, usually when I'm live, I'm just all over the damn place.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I think sometimes it's people kind of get to see what it's like for us, trying to do this, man.
Well, it's the first one of these for me.
Is it? Well, good.
Yeah,
I'm glad. I appreciate you making me your first show, man.
Hey, I appreciate being here, man.
Mike Smith's on here. He must be one of your fans. He says, "There's that sexy talker, Betty Crocker."
Yeah, I like old Mike. He's a little bit of a smart ass like me.
I hear you. Browns and Beer says, "Hit the like button." Steve Davis says, "Hit the like button." Only 4 likes. You guys can do better than that, according to Mike. It's not me saying it now. It's Steve. Steve's telling you that, not me. All right,
Come
so
on. It's a real channel here. Hit the damn like button.
hey, first of all, kudos to you. You're that close to 1,000, man.
I'm getting there slowly but surely.
You're jumping up pretty quick.
Some people play hard to get. I play hard to want.
I hear you. How congrats on that. So everybody go subscribe to Knumbskull News. Go subscribe to his channel. He's a very entertaining channel, very informative channel. If you want no BS, straight shooter, no chaser, as they like to say, he's your guy. So, and also, I've got his Twitter handle scrolling along the bottom of the screen too, if you guys want to check him out on Twitter. So, what do you think? First of all, this Colorado meeting tomorrow, do you think it has anything to do, in your opinion, about leaving the Pac-12?
Well, I mean, according to Pac-12 people, nothing means anything. It's just going to be. It's just, the Pac-12 is going to stay together. They're going to be on ION, and everyone's going to be happy. I mean, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here, Couz.
Right, that's what they say, right? Well, what's funny is some of them are starting to change their tune a little bit. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I've heard a few. I mean, it is inevitable, but the people are slowly starting to wake up to it's going to be Apple, and no one likes Apple.
Yeah.
Apple likes Apple. That's about it.
Yeah. Mike says Knumbskull goes on great rants. It's worth the watch. John Wilner, he's now starting to say, well, if they do lose Colorado, it's no big deal. They'll just go at San Diego State and keep rolling. I don't think that's what he was saying a couple months ago.
No. Yeah. Why would John Wilner want to say that? I don't know the man. I don't have anything against him. Just you can smell out some BS when it's in the air.
Yeah.
And there's plenty. It's like driving behind a cattle truck.
Mm-hmm.
You can smell it.
Yep. I hear you.
And San Diego State's a nice ad. It'd be nice for the Big 12. But I don't think we can get them paid. That's the problem.
That's the challenge. Yeah, that's the challenge. I don't know that Fox and ESPN is going to be willing to step up to the plate for a group of 5 school. Maybe they would.
I think it's kind of like what you were saying. If you can get a little side deal with Amazon, you can get a little extra money and out of San Diego State, it might make a UConn a little easier,
Mhm.
things of that nature. But
Right.
as far as pro rata, I don't see ESPN really giving a damn about San Diego State.
I agree. Now I'm starting to see rumblings out there. All along they've been saying that well, ESPN's the only one offering pro rata. Well, now I read an article that I think it may have been Dennis Dodd's article that's saying, well, now Fox is stepping up and going to pay. So they would get the Colorado or Arizona or any Power Five school would get a full Big 12 share. That changes the game, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Me-
because well, the pack, they're worth more dead than alive. All right, there's a lot of valuable schools in the pack, but these big media companies, do they want to really do a deal with the pack that has
Mhm.
decreasing ratings every year, or you break up that value into conferences where they can actually, I don't know, do something worth a damn with that value.
Yeah. Mike Tampa Dog says, is Numbskull a TCU fan? Sorry.
Yeah, I like TCU. I'm from Fort Worth, so that's my
Yeah.
that's my team.
Well, I think he's apologizing for the beatdown in the night. I'm assuming that's what he's apologizing for. He said sorry about
No, and you have to
he's a dog fan.
apologize. I mean, you beat someone down, you beat them down. That's the way it is.
That's right. By the way, Mike Tampa Dog, I don't recall seeing you on any of my live streams in the past. If I have, I apologize for missing you. I appreciate you, joining the show. Tomas is on here. He says the meeting that matters is the public one they would schedule if they are making a move. Just like I said a minute ago, a lot of the Pac-12 people want to say, well, they're not making any decisions tomorrow. Well, no, but you don't think they're going to talk about it tomorrow? Of course, they're
It's
not
an
going to do the
athletic
vote
meeting.
tomorrow. Of course, they're not
It,
going to
it
vote tomorrow.
according to Greg Flugard, it's an athletic meeting. Kind of has some of the same markings we've seen before in the past. So
Yep,
we'll see what happens.
exactly. Got a Baylor Bear from Charlotte in the chat. What's up? Um, and one thing I've been seeing today is they're saying that, um, and I read this on the Colorado message boards, and it's what I was kind of alluding to a minute ago, is when Colorado left the Big 12 for the Pac-12, they made the decision to leave. They announced they were leaving. Then they held the public vote after they made the announcement. So they're going to know how many votes they got before they actually vote. You think they're going to make themselves look foolish and hold a vote when they don't know a public vote when they don't know what the results are going to be?
Yeah, yeah. I
They're
mean,
not going to do that.
no, absolutely not. They're gonna the Big 12 isn't gonna send an invite unless they know for sure it's getting accepted. They don't want egg on their face either. So all this stuff's going to be already done. Everything's perfunctory. Everything's an act. All
Right.
that stuff. So that's all that is. Everything. All the real decisions are getting made when no one knows about it.
Right. Tampa Dog said he had never been on, and then he said, "Oops, I am subscribed. Been on at least once." Thank you. Either way, I don't care if you've been on once or 1,000 times. It's very much appreciated. Um, the other thing I saw today was, or I heard today actually on a another podcast, was that it appears that yes, Colorado is kind of number one option or number one choice for the Big 12, but they seem to be leaning more towards maybe UConn than most people may realize. What would be your thoughts about them potentially adding UConn? Would you think that's a good move or not?
Well, you're a West Virginia guy. That's the perfect move for y'all. It gives
I would
y'all
love it.
somebody a little closer.
I would like it. But what would you think as a guy down there in Fort Worth, Texas?
I like them. I mean, to me, it's about the biggest thing the Big 12 can do is increase your brand in basketball. So in order to, I don't know, however you want to call it, increase your market share, make you more dominant
Mhm.
in the NCAA tournament, you got to bring in the brands that can do it. The SEC and the Big Ten don't want to do that. They don't care about that. They're making all their money just based on football. Whatever they get from basketball, that's extra. But the Big 12, if we'll never catch those two. But if you want to close that money gap a little bit, you got to get creative. What is our number one most powerful asset? It is basketball.
Mhm.
You increase that asset and you become the SEC in basketball. Then you can
Right.
peel that sucker off, and you can get a separate rights deal from basketball from football. And then you get a little bit closer. Then you could be competitive with those two going forward, 2031 on forward.
Yeah. I like it, man. I think it's a great idea. Now the whole pro rata discussion comes back. They're not a quote unquote Power 5 school, but would they be considered Power 6 in this case because they're in the Big East in basketball? Does that change the conversation for these networks because they are such a good basketball program? I think it could, to be honest, especially Fox, who's been wanting
Yeah,
more Big 12 basketball content.
I think Fox will give you something, and I think ESPN would be stupid not to give you something. That's their hometown team, UConn.
Right.
Yeah, why not have them in the Big 12?
And the thing with UConn is they could come in, they wouldn't even need a full share. They could come in at a partial share and still make a hell of a lot more money than they're making strictly being in the Big East in basketball and, an independent in football where they make probably very little, to be honest, in
Yeah,
revenue.
yeah, no, you don't need no full share. Not for UConn. I know they're a little better in football, but no,
Mhm.
you can get by probably maybe 20. I think that would do it. That they
And
would be thrilled with
yeah,
that.
and I would venture to guess the buyout, and I don't know what the Big East buyout is, so I could be totally wrong in this statement. I'm just making an assumption. The buyout for UConn leaving the Big East is probably less than what it would be if a team was in a football conference. I would assume because
Yeah,
there's you know
I mean the
because
American buyout is what, 10 million,
yeah,
somewhere in there.
something like that. I think so. Yeah,
I could see something similar.
yeah. We
I
got a
think Mountain West is a little more, but
yeah
it
we
won't
got
be
a
much.
Texas Tech fan on here says he likes the idea of adding UConn as well. So I've
You
seen
got to
quite a
get
few.
into that New York market, man. That's
Yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate the power or the number of fans they would have in New York. UConn is very close to New York. It's only like 150 miles, give or take. That's not far at all.
yeah. You want to be coast to coast. You can't just be seen as some trailer trash conference out in the middle of Texas. You got to let everyone know you're everywhere. You are in New York. You
Mhm.
are wherever the hell, the Northeast, Gonzaga. You're everywhere. And it makes nothing but sense. You offer the times every time zone that those media partners need.
Yeah,
And when you do that, you secure yourself long term as a conference. This is the problem with the ACC. They're in one time zone, Frank, but basically, same thing with the Pac 12. They don't offer anything else. So it's easy to kind of break them apart, put them in other conferences that are interested in going coast to coast. And
right,
the SEC is a different animal. I mean, they're just a juggernaut in football that makes the most money. They get the most ratings in that. They don't have to go coast to coast. They can just stay old school and do their thing. No problem. Media partners don't give a shit whether they do that or not. But the Big 12 needs to do that. The Big 10 needed to do that to make the money they make now. They weren't going to
right,
make the money to staying in the Midwest.
right. And Brian Ian saying the buyout is 30 million, and I saw somebody else say 30 to 40 million. So that's a lot larger than I thought it was, to be honest.
Yeah, that's kind of
Pretty
insane.
that's pretty hefty. But according to them, that's what they had to agree to when they rejoined the conference.
Well, you pay it out over 10 years then.
Yeah, I mean, take it. That's what West Virginia had to do when we joined, and I'm sure TCU may have done something similar. We had
Yeah.
to pay out. We just took a cut of the revenue. We didn't get a full revenue share every year, and over time we paid it back that way.
And I have a hard time seeing UConn being a broke institution. I,
Yeah, I think they're doing pretty well, especially
yeah, they're not Washington State. I don't think they
yeah,
have to have a yard sale just yet to make their moves.
yeah. UConn alums are probably not hurting for cash. I would imagine.
Yeah, there's probably plenty of them on the board of ESPN as well.
C. John said, "Yeah, that's a great point." C. John says, "Yeah, that UConn football fan living in a van down by the river." Little Chris Farley reference. Gotta love it,
All right,
man.
that was a great skit too. Well,
Oh, it might be my
they're out
favorite
of
skit.
those.
It might be my favorite skit all time, to be honest with you. On Saturday Night Live, it's one of them. It's definitely up there in the top 3 or 4.
It's right
Mike
there with
Smith said,
Chippendale.
"Yeah, yeah, that was another good one." Mike Smith. Somebody earlier said they didn't know any UConn football fans. Mike Smith said he knows a few, being a Big East guy or former Big East guy. Browns and Beer says, what would you think of adding them in men's and women's hoops? Oh, no brainer. No
Yeah.
brainer. You add the value of both of those immediately.
Yeah. That's
then
worth bringing in the football.
Right. And then reevaluating them the next TV contract. Could even set up a football scheduling agreement like Notre Dame with the ACC. Yeah. I mean, I'm open to whatever. If it brings, look, if it's going to make my school more money, the school I cheer for more money, and it's going to help us travel a little bit less every year, I'm all for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And look, it's worth bringing in the football. I mean, forget the Notre Dame schedule. Just bring him in as a full member.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it like that.
I agree. Sergeant Pickle says, I know, by the way, Sergeant Pickle's a very loyal listener here. Says, I know your mark is ambitious, but Hoops has never paid out enough to make a Hoops only expansion make sense. And I was agreeing with that at first, Sergeant Pickles, until I started paying more attention to to what's going on around us. And if you look long term, I mean, I've even heard Bob Huggins talk about how he thinks the Power 5 leagues, maybe be the Power 6 in basketball, who knows, but he thinks the Power 5 leagues should split apart from the rest of the NCAA, even in basketball, and have their own tournament. And if they do, and we already know that they're going that direction in football. That's coming, whether we like it or not. That's going to happen. You're going to see a split apart, whether it's 2 conferences, 3 conferences, 5 conferences. But 5 conferences are apart by the other point. If they do that in basketball as well, then somebody like UConn would be an absolute run. It's going to be a separate TV deal. It's going to be separate everything. What do you know about that?
Well, as far as it being ambitious or it doesn't pay out enough, I mean, classically, I guess traditionally, basketball does not pay out enough. But we're not in a traditional era. You're in an era where you got to think outside the box. You got to do something more than you've been doing. And just doing things like they've normally been done, yeah, of course. But when you have a conference that consolidates most of your major brands, then you can create different events in Mexico, maybe Europe. I don't know. But you can create, and Karen from Endeavor on 365 Sports talked about that. It's event driven. You can create a whole new level of excitement just with uh, basketball, but you have to have the brands and the power to do it. Hey, what happened to Coug? What happened to Couz, man? Did you fall in the toilet? Still alive, buddy? Says I'm live. Says he ain't. Hope that answers your question, Sergeant Pickles 13. Oh, I think Couz has been destroyed. And I think someone from the Big East sent a torpedo his way. Can't reach Texas, but they can reach West Virginia. Oh, if only I had the producer's number. See if he gets back in the chat. Yeah, I don't see Couz either. See, I'm just getting the damn thing up. I am, he isn't. Well, son of a bitch. Well, looks like y'all are watching me now. Sorry, guys. I'm not as good as Couz. Well, Nick M, I hear you. See, No conference in college has a commissioner as savvy as concerning the value of basketball as BY. That is why basketball has been seen as a viable standalone product. Truth. Yeah, that happens all the time, Mike. I fart and he couldn't take it. Couldn't take it, man. It's that Tex-Mex, dude. It'll do it. Mr. Pickles. Like I said, smart of Yormar to lean in the strength of the Big 12, but betting on hoops in the future is high risk, high reward. Now, there's not a whole lot of risk. I mean, if it doesn't work, then you don't get paid. Then you don't really elevate your money all that much. Yeah, the Knumbskull takeover. I ain't trying to. I'm not. I probably won't freely cuss as much as I do on my channel. Hey, there's Curtis D316. Got to reset that router occasionally. Yep. I hear you too, Massa. Yeah, that old damn rabbit ears antenna needs a little dash more tin foil. So we all know that's how Google does it. Hey, what's up, Mr. Diaz? Do I have to log off before you get back on? I don't know. He ain't send me no messages. So I don't have a problem. It ain't my damn channel. I'll log off if I ain't trying to block Couz if he's trying to get back in. If you can hear me, Couz, let me know. Mr. Monkey says, yeah, you just got in just in time for the world to end. Yeah, this thing's going to hell. I don't mean to make it sound like that. It's just, it's Google farting. That's cool. Timothy Ashmore gave him $2. Houston's coming back. Damn straight. Sorry, Timothy. I know that wasn't for me. That was for Couz. I'm sure he'll reiterate that. I don't know. Let me know, Couz. You need some help? All right, he's working on it. So, all right, I'll keep reading your comments there, Couz, and making fun of everybody. Y'all send pictures of your mother in. We'll see how hot they are or not. Curtis D316, Numbskull Corner. I don't know. I don't know if I'd pay for that. Kyle Weiser. Tony Ashmore. Yep. Mr. Monkey says, just in time for technical difficulties. You damn well better believe it. I blame China. China. West Virginia 56, Colorado, and West Virginia could be the Country Roads Trophy battle. Does Colorado play Country Roads too? That would suck. Anyway. Let's see here. Yeah, Mr. Mike Smith. I don't know if that was really Couz. Yeah, Couz, I'm trying to hold it down, see if I can't throw a few jokes at him. Trying to think of some non-racial jokes. Try to do something nice where we can all get along. Okay, if anyone's offended by that, you have to say that these days. But if anyone is, I am half Hispanic, so that I just look white and sound white and act white. But I'm really not. John Denver Trophy. Gotcha.
All right, can y'all see me and hear me?
I hear you.
Can you see me?
I see you.
Timothy Ashmore, Houston is coming back. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat, my friend.
And far too long for Houston to come back. Stupid Texas.
What's up, Don in Kansas? I don't know what is going on with my internet, guys, but it is, as Tony Altamore would say, it's that West Virginia internet.
Oh, but what I hear from ACC people, they pay out the ass for UNC to go to wherever with all the carriage fees.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I heard my last video. I was kind of attacked the UNC, because I'm not sold that they're going to go to some big player. I'm not sold they're going to go to the Big Ten or the SEC. Everyone assumes so, but I'm like, is Fox or ESPN going to pay $80 million, which that's what it could be on their next deal, $80 million per team? Are they willing to pay $80 million for UNC for basically a basketball school? I don't know. Even if the Big Ten want them, Big Ten might have to pay for them out of pocket.
Yeah.
And people didn't like that. Imagine that.
Yeah. Mike Smith says truck stop internet. You got that right.
Yeah, brought to you by Loves.
Got you 5x5. Not sure what that means, Nick, to be honest with you. That went way over my bald head, brother.
I think that's a military term there, Couz. I think I heard it in a movie before.
Gotcha. Kind of like got your six or got your back, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know if it wasn't Predator. It wasn't nothing that cool, but I saw it in a movie.
Ditch AOL, there are better options out there. Yeah, no kidding. I've got a local internet company called Optimum, used to be Suddenlink, and it's supposed to be really good. And here about the last 2 weeks, for whatever reason, it has been absolutely horrendous. And I don't know what happened all of a sudden. It's like it just went downhill, just out of the blue.
That's pretty much everything. Try buying a Ford truck these days.
Yeah, really. I'm in the process of trying to either repair or buy a new heat pump. That's a whole different animal right there, man.
A new what?
Heat pump.
Heat pump.
Yes.
Oh, pool?
No, heating system.
For the house?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Heating and cooling system. It heats and cools both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mine's out,
here,
so
here
I have
in Texas,
no air.
we just call it AC. Oh.
Right. Yeah. Well, see, for here, we have to have heat in the winter and the cool in the summer, and a heat pump does both.
Yeah, it gets cold here. It doesn't stay cold, but it'll drop down on you.
Yeah.
We get down to 10 or so.
So I don't remember what we were talking about before I all of a sudden lost my service. But I guess we were talking about the Colorado thing. Oh, do you think Arizona State or Arizona? Well, Arizona State first of all. Do you think Arizona State and Arizona need to be connected for either of them to come to the conference?
Arizona State and Utah?
No, Arizona.
Oh, Arizona? Oh, they're not connected. Arizona will jump without them. And Arizona State will have to make up their own mind.
Yeah.
But the Mountain West is a great conference.
Yeah.
It's a good conference.
It is a good conference.
Ain't nothing to be ashamed of.
No, they just, they won't be happy about it.
No.
But you know what?
Can't please everybody.
Nope. Oh, Nick says that is that means I'm reading you loud and clear. Thank you, Nick, for clarifying. Monty Show said they're not attached. I don't think they are either. Based on what I'm hearing and reading, Arizona, even though it's similar to the UCLA Cal situation. Yes, they have the same board, but each university can also do their own thing if they choose to. Now, they might have to pay some money to the other school or something, some penalties or something for leaving, but they will still have the option to do that. At least that's my understanding. But I don't think Arizona State really wants to go unless it's an absolute necessity. It's kind of how I'm reading the room anyway.
And I think if you're the Big 12, Arizona's the prize. You'll take Arizona State, but you're not going to bend over backwards for them.
No, Arizona's the the state school. It's basketball.
Arizona's got the basketball, man.
Basketball, and Brett Yormark has said time and time again he wants to be the premier basketball conference. He wants to continue that trend and grow, make the conference even better at basketball. And I read today something that makes sense. And I actually thought about this myself. I just didn't know if it was feasible financially. But he knows he'll never catch the SEC and the Big Ten in football money.
No.
He knows it's not realistic. So he wants to differentiate the Big 12 and make them the premier basketball conference and try to become the third best conference by utilizing that. And, from a business perspective, differentiation is always critical and it's key. And matter of fact, I've been to all kinds of training about it in my own career. If you have to differentiate yourself, especially if you sell a product that's similar to everybody else's. And the one thing the Big 12 can take advantage of and differentiate themselves with is basketball. Now, it's a risk because what happens if the league's basketball quality, drops all of a sudden, which can happen because we know sports can be cyclical. But
yeah, but the more really good teams and programs you got, the less chance of that happening.
right,
Is the SEC really concerned about falling off? I mean, probably not.
yeah,
Now, I mean, if you look at the ACC, I'm going to kick them in the junk here again. But if you look at the ACC, it's been a one-team school for what, a decade?
mm-hmm.
That's not going to be the SEC. It's not going to be just a one-team school. Now, you'll have one dominant team at a time, Georgia, or 1 year it's Alabama killing everybody, or 1 year it's LSU killing everybody, or Florida with, the next Tim Tebow killing everybody. But generally speaking, that's a really, really good conference. As much as I hate them, and I think we can all agree we hate them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but you have to give it up to them, man. I mean, how many national championships you have to have in order to get respect? I respect them. I just don't like them.
right. Well, I think it's one of those deals. If you hate them because you ain't them, right?
There you go.
Kind of one of those deals. K Deuce says, I just can't see if CU and AZ jump ASU doesn't follow. Very possible, unless they can backfill with San Diego State and uh,
SMU.
SMU. Yeah,
Yeah, two non-AAU schools
right.
for everyone who
Yep,
cares about all the education out there.
yep.
Bunch of
Mr. Monkey
overblown
says,
crap.
not similar to UCLA and Cal in a way, though. In this case, I would guess both UA and ASU have open invitations. Yeah, that's a good point. Hadn't thought about that piece of it, but and it seems like one is more open to going than the other. I don't know that either of them want to go, but I think one sees that it might be more necessary than the other. But for some reason, Arizona State's president seems to be, I think his name's Crow, whatever. He may be eating crow before too long because he might be stuck without a conference or without a power conference.
Yeah, because when Oregon and Washington go, there's going to be a lot of people out there feel real stupid.
Yep.
Your
Agreed.
Altamores and all these types, and presidents of certain schools. Yeah, they're going to feel pretty stupid when those two go.
But guys, for those of you who haven't, please hit the like button. Get this video out to more people. We got about 87 on here right now. Not sure how many likes we got. It looks like we have about, StreamYard doesn't tell me that, unfortunately. But it looks like we have 42. Not enough, guys. Not enough. Don't forget to check out Knumbskull News on YouTube. He's getting closer and closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark. Go sub him up. Help him
Yeah,
start
I'm
making,
creeping in there.
so he can start making some cash. Speaking of academics, what were your thoughts on the AAU bringing in Notre Dame, Miami, Arizona State, USF, and those other schools that nobody cares about?
Yeah, it was like 6 at a time, wasn't it?
Yes, and I don't mean to disrespect those schools, but I mean
No.
we're talking about major college sports, and those teams aren't really, you know.
Well, from one of the things I've always heard, as far as people wanting to crap all over the Big 12 all the time, is because I've made a point before of, there's certain schools in the Big 12 they can go after AAU status, kind of improve that, echelon of things, that your education part of things. But And then several people in the comments told me that, well, they don't really add too many teams every once in a while. They don't add a lot of schools to AAU. It's really, really prestige. All of a sudden, boom, 6. I'm like, what
Mm-hmm.
the hell? I
Yeah.
thought this was hard to do. I mean, I'm sure it is. Nothing against any of those, but I don't know, 6 all at once. And then everyone's like, oh, look who's going to go to the Big Ten now. I'm like, well, hold on. Just because you got AAU doesn't mean the Big Ten wants you, or doesn't mean Fox or NBC or CBS want to pay for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if that's the case, why isn't Tulane and Rice in there already? You
Right.
show me a better academic school in Texas than Rice. It doesn't exist.
Here's a couple things I've heard, and I do think this makes some sense. I've heard that Arizona State could have potentially gotten it because they agreed to stay in the PAC, and they got all the PAC votes, and maybe some votes from some other conferences that didn't want the PAC to break up. And then, what do you think about that theory?
I mean, from everything I understand, they want to stay in the pack anyway. And if they do, that's fine. They can take their pittance of money from Apple and stay there. That's cool.
Yeah.
So much for being relevant in anything other than research.
And what about the other one I heard was that even though Notre Dame probably would have gotten into Big Ten anyway, this makes it easier for them to get more, the votes they need by being AAU, even though they don't really put that much money into research. And they don't have a medical school, which is from what I know, I know very little about AAU, so I'm not really the expert on this, but from what I've read and heard, typically that's one of the things they look for is they want you to have a medical school. And I don't
Yeah,
think
there's
Notre Dame does.
I think like 85% of the AAU members have some kind of medical
Mm-hmm.
research facility or school or whatever.
Right.
Notre Dame probably just got it just to put another badge on their Boy Scout banner there. They
Yeah.
got the rest of the badges. I mean, it's not like they have to talk to Big Ten into letting them in. They've been getting chased by that conference forever, and they're the biggest whale out there to land. So they
Yeah.
don't need AAU. I just think people in the program wanted it.
And they
That's
got it
pretty
because of
simple.
they got it because of who they are.
Oh yeah, and by the way, they're not joining the Big Ten. They're not joining the SEC. The only way they would join is if they got blocked out of the tournament. And there's no way in hell any of these media partners are going to be paying top dollar for a 12-team tournament. They don't want to leave out Notre Dame. That's just the ratings are just too big.
Yeah. I mean, right now they would have to get one of the not the auto bids, but the uh, I'm drawing a blank, man. This whole internet thing's got my brain scrambled tonight. I can't think, but
Oh, the at-large stuff?
at large bids, yeah, they would get one of the at large spots now. They wouldn't get an automatic. A lot of people think
No.
that they might want an automatic bid down the road, but I don't think they care. As long as they have a pathway to get in, I don't think they care how they get in.
No, I don't think they care either. It's like they want, as long as they can get in there and play,
Yeah.
they just want a tip in a seat.
Sergeant Pickle says that Couz's Corner real question. How will the Big 12 add more than one or two schools and increase or maintain payouts? Reduce shares for football won't cut it. Sergeant Pickles, I'm now hearing from, I think it was in maybe Dennis Dodd's article. It was in one article I read last week or 2 weeks ago. I've read so many I can't keep track, but I think it was Dennis Dodd who said that Fox and ESPN are both willing to pay full shares to any Power 5 team who leaves for the Big 12, specifically the PAC.
Yeah, that's because ESPN and Fox want to rip that conference apart.
Yep. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. They want the programs they want out of there. They're willing to pay a full share. This makes it easier.
Yep. And guys, just a reminder, if you want to make sure I see your chat or your comment, because I'm not able to see them all. We've got 91 people in here. There's no way for me to see everybody's comments. I'll get to as many as I can, but if you want to make sure I see it, you can hit the dollar sign there where it says say something and post your comment there. And I'll be sure to see it. And you can kind of steer the conversation whichever way you want to take it. Mr. Monkey says ESPN is contractually obligated to pay pro rata. Fox willing to play ball. That's That's basically the way I understand it too, from everything I've
Yeah,
read. And I don't know
yeah,
that that was the case at first, but I think your mark has, got everybody back to the table. And, uh, the guy's a business deal. He's a businessman. He's a deal maker. That's what he does. That's what he's done his whole career. And he's done it at the highest levels possible. So I don't see why in the world he wouldn't continue to do that now that he's commissioner of the Big 12.
and I think Fox just wanted the option. They just wanted to be able to pick and choose.
Yeah. And from everything I'm reading, they're really excited about getting more Big 12 basketball content. And if they think they can get Arizona in the Big 12,
Oh yeah,
I mean, think about that. And whether we like it or not, the Coach Prime effect matters right now. Even though he may
yeah,
not be there in 3 or 4 years, everybody is betting on the fact that he will be. And whether you like Dion or you don't, you can't argue the fact that he brings eyeballs to the television. I mean,
what's his contract? Is it 5 years?
I think it's 5. Is what if my memory serves me correctly, I think it's 5. Yes, but I
He'll
could
be
be
there for
wrong.
that contract. I think he will. Even if he sucks, he'll be there for that contract.
I think so too. Mr. Monkey says not sure about getting full share, and we talked about that earlier. I don't think UConn needs the full share because they're not making their payout would be so high, so much higher by joining a Power 5 conference than they are getting in the Big East because Big East is only basketball. By joining a conference that has football, their payout's automatically going to go up. Even so, they won't necessarily need to make the full 31 million. They could make 15 or 20 million
Yep.
and still come out ahead. OPD Don, thank you, man. You're generous, man. $30 donation. Says love having both of you together. Subscribe to both. I am a huge college football fan of all conferences, but I am with Brett Yulmark separating college basketball as a brilliant idea. Basketball is the second most followed sport in the world. CU is gone like before. Thank you, Opie, and Numbskull and I both agree with you. We think it's I didn't agree with it at first when they first started talking the Gonzaga stuff. I was kind of iffy on it, but now the more I hear about what's probably going to happen down the road in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I think this is a long-term move by Brett Yormark is what I'm seeing.
And not any conference can do that. Only the conference that has all the brands. You
Right.
know, that's why we can't make what the SEC or the Big Ten do. They have the big blue blood brands. We don't.
Right.
But if we have that in basketball, we can make more money than they can in the basketball.
Right. And we've already got one of them in Kansas,
Yep.
and we've already got Baylor, who's now becoming, I wouldn't call them a blue belt, but they're now one of the top echelon programs in the country. You've got TCU's
Houston.
up in Houston. Houston's coming in. Cincinnati's not been as good lately, but historically they're a good program. You've got, West Virginia's been a consistently good program.
Yep.
TCU's on the come up in basketball. I
Tech.
mean, Texas Tech,
Tech.
they played the national title game, what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Not long.
So
Kansas State's always a threat.
we're not I mean, you had an Arizona and a UConn with Kansas and Houston and West
And
Virginia and
Gonzaga.
Baylor and Cincinnati, and you add Gonzaga to the mix. Hey, man, I'm tuning in to watch hoops. I don't know about you.
Yeah. And you think about some of them ACC schools we can get later on.
Yep, absolutely. And it's not going to take till 2036 for that to happen, I don't believe either. Now, it
No.
might not be today or tomorrow, but you start
It,
getting around 2030, 2031 when all of a sudden that payout's a lot less.
yeah. It'll be like late 2020s,
Yeah.
2028, 2029 maybe. That's when you start seeing some movement there.
Yeah.
Because ESPN wants to keep some of those brands. They don't want to just lose stuff. They got them on a good deal now, but they don't want that thing just break apart and go wherever. They want to be able to. I call it a controlled demolition. They want a controlled demolition of that conference.
Right. Got Beer Sports Show on here. Says he's a Cincinnati fan, by the way. He says if they get Arizona, they will get a great basketball team. They were 8 ranked last year and first in the Pac-12. I'm pretty sure, and UConn is a very great basketball team. Won a lot of championships. I think 5 is if I'm not mistaken,
A
is what they've
lot.
won. Huh?
Probably more in women's.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, don't think for a second Brett Yormark is not trying to capitalize on the growing popularity of women's basketball right now.
Yeah.
Women's basketball is drawing much better ratings than it's ever gotten, ever. Thanks in large part to, you know, the girl over at Iowa. I can't think of her name, but she's kind of become the face of college women's basketball. But even without her, I think the game's already. I think it's still growing. But it's important to have those faces. It's important to have those figures, man. You need people to move your game forward, and I think she's been great for the game, in my opinion. But women's basketball is growing in popularity, and if you can add a program like UConn, why not?
That's the preeminent brand in women's college basketball. UConn.
They've won 5 men's titles and 11 women's titles, according to Brian. Thank you, Brian, for that.
Yeah. Yeah. They've been killing it for a long time.
Brian, are you a UConn fan? I'm assuming you are because you've had a lot of the answers when it comes to UConn. If you are, I want to hear your opinion on, would you like to see UConn in the Big 12 or no? Or would you rather see them stay where they are in the Big East and as an independent in football? To me, it's a no-brainer for them to come to a Power 5 league if they have the opportunity.
Yeah.
But some people seem to disagree with that.
Well, there's a lot of people that just don't like the Big 12. They don't like the thought of the Big 12 becoming more powerful. We're all supposed to be a bunch of rednecks and white trash out here.
Yeah.
Just stay in your trailer park. Stay in your lane there, Couz. What the hell are you talking about, Couz?
Go back
Stay
to
in
my
your
truck
trailer
stop.
park, Couz.
Get back to my truck stop. Be
Yeah.
quiet. Yeah.
Just go ride your big propane tank down the road, Couz.
Oh man, is that not the truth?
Yeah.
And they wonder why we're so pissed off on Twitter. Because something's finally going our way for once, by gosh, and we're gonna gloat a little bit. We haven't had a chance to do that in forever.
Yeah, we're gonna dance all over your grave too.
Yeah, crazy to think that Gino Auriemma could be a coach in the Big 12. I like the thought of that. I like Gino Auriemma.
Yeah, I think that's happening. Yormark knows too many people up there. That's happening.
Yes, Caitlin Clark is the player from Iowa that I.
Yeah,
Like I said,
yeah.
my brain is not working too good tonight. That whole internet fiasco earlier kind of threw me for a loop. What's up,
That's
WV?
what you get for having me on, buddy.
you broke my internet.
That happens. It happens, man. It's that Texas virus, man.
I hear you. WV Mountain there with Kenny says, "Hey, Couz, what's up, man? How you doing?" See what other good comments we got. I can't keep up, guys. I don't know about that, Anthony. He says I'm the most intelligent man on YouTube. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm even close. Not even close, man. But I appreciate the kind words. Why would ASU, David Hackett? Why would ASU or Arizona want to stay for $20 million each with 80% streaming? Pac-12 is jealous of what Big 12 has done already. I think that's why they're trying to keep waiting and waiting and waiting, hoping they can get that Big 12 money, and it's just not coming.
Well, a big part of that is ESPN and Fox chose us. I mean, they try to get a deal done with the Pac-12. Pac-12 thought they were too good for it. So what they do? Well, screw you. They call us.
Mm-hmm.
And what did Brett do? And what did people in Denver do? Hey, let's strike now. Next year's going to get real ugly. It's going to get real ugly in that in the money sector. So let's go ahead and get it done. You know, the other ones that they could have got on the phone with Endeavor and had them represent them. Oh,
Absolutely.
hell no. But they didn't want to do that. They have their own people because they're so smart out there in the left coast.
Big 12 Karen, who they talk so much trash about, seems like a superstar to me. I don't know about you.
That's what Trump calls a killer. She's a killer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear
her interview on 365 Sports the other day?
That made me feel all kinds of warm and fuzzy about the Big 12.
Me too,
That's
man.
all I know. That woman's got torpedoes in her back pocket.
Yep. Yeah, they can make Pac-12 people can talk smack all they want to, but as long as her and Brett Yormark, in my opinion, as long as we got those two in our corner, we're in good shape, man. Mike Smith says propane and propane accessories. We believe in refill your tank for you for a small fee.
Damn it, Bobby. Give me that propane.
Oh, that's funny. Couz's Corner, initially, I was cold to the idea of UConn bringing football. However, I've warmed up to the idea. They have improved and would continue to improve if in the Big 12. I think so.
Yeah, I
And
warmed up to it.
it would prove to Jim Mora, who wants them to, invest more in football, it would prove to him that they are, I think.
When
Oh,
it
I've
comes
got
to
some
the
more.
Big 12, you can spend more on it.
Got some super chats I've missed here. Alan Walker, $5 super chat. Greetings, Couz. Got a new profile pic. LOL. And you change your pics a lot, but I appreciate you letting me know because I might have missed it. What are the chances of West Virginia moving to the SEC if you believe the gossip? 1 in 100,000. I don't know. Very, very slim. I mean, if they go to like 24, 28 teams, maybe. But if they go to 20 teams, something like that, yeah. There are teams ahead of us, like North Carolina, Virginia. Virginia shouldn't be ahead of us, but they probably are because of where they're located. The SEC is not in Virginia. They would probably like to be. You've got teams like, I'm sure Florida State's ahead of us. I'm sure, Georgia Tech might even be ahead of us because of their, being right there in Atlanta. But so I'd say, is there a chance? Yes. Kind of like the scene. Matter of fact, the thumbnail of this live stream is going to be the scene from Dumb and Dumber, where Jim Carrey's character is talking to what's her name, Mary, or whatever her name is. He says, "So you're saying there's a chance?" After she says like 1 in a million.
Right.
That's pretty much how I feel about. That's how I feel about the Pac-12 surviving, and that's how I feel about them surviving as they are. Let me put it that way. I do think they'll still be a conference. They just won't be a very good one. But that's
I think
what
that Couz, that list at the SEC, as far
Mhm.
as expansion for the SEC, that's a
Mhm.
very, very, very short list. I think they're going to be very picky about that, and I think ESPN is even going to be more picky about that.
Agreed.
They may get to 18 teams. I don't. It's going to be hard for them to even get to 20. I think.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
don't think they care.
at
I don't
some
think they
point
care.
you're going to start diluting your brand, your conference. You know what I mean, as far as the payout goes. And I'm not going to sit here and act like my team's something they're not. West Virginia is a great program. We have very passionate fans, but are we Alabama? No. Are we? And the only reason I would put North Carolina ahead of us is because they're in North Carolina, because we know that matters. And Greg Sankey said the other day in an interview, if they expand, they want to stay in the Southeast. Geography matters to them. Now, you could argue that West Virginia kind of is, especially if you consider the southern part of the state. We're kind of right on the cusp. But
Yeah.
So I don't know if they would consider us as part of the Southeast or not. And we did come close to getting in once before, and unfortunately Missouri got in over us. But and I would argue that we would have been a better ad, but that's a whole nother discussion.
No, you would have been a better ad. Ain't no one watching Missouri.
But that being said, I don't
No
think
one
that's a
watching
rumor
Missouri.
out there either, Alan. I actually had heard. I heard a couple weeks ago from somebody that I'm not going to name that they overheard someone talking in and around Tuscaloosa that West Virginia, that the SEC had talked to West Virginia. Now, I don't know if that means they had talked to them recently or if they had talked to them 10 years ago, but that did come up. But like I said, I didn't say it on a video or anything because I didn't know. The person told me they didn't know how good that source was. So I didn't want to run with it because it was just
Right.
gossip. But then when Jim Williams put that list out today, it makes me wonder that maybe that discussion that person overheard in Tuscaloosa, maybe it was a legit discussion. So anyway, OPD
Well, I'm
Don,
sure
another
West Virginia's on a list of. They're always going to make their list. I'm
yeah.
sure West Virginia would be on it. They'd be stupid not to have West Virginia on there somewhere.
Yeah, we're on the ACC's list too, but that doesn't mean but they've turned us down multiple times already. So,
Well,
you know,
it's probably for the best. That's like getting an invite to Hiroshima in 1943.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
probably best not to go. Let's
it
just
is
wait.
now that us not getting accepted into the ACC has now turned out to work in our favor long term. I
Yeah,
mean, honestly, it has.
yeah.
Opie,
I
another
think you
$10
guys should
super.
be more relevant than Big 12. So
Yeah, I think we're real close to being good again. Can we do it with Neil Brown? I'm not sure, but I do think our program as a whole is moving in that direction as far as NIL money, facilities, and all that kind of stuff. I think we're moving in the right direction. A new coach could potentially be what we need, but there again, maybe he turns it around this year. I don't know. Uh, nobody's giving us nobody has a lot of faith in it, but sometimes that's when we play our best. So
yeah, all I know is the Big 12 would be better with a good West Virginia.
Opie $10 super chat. He says UConn is paid approximately $4 and 4 point. I'm about to say $4.66. UConn is paid approximately $4.66 million per year for its TV rights in the Big East. It is said that they will make $9 million in the Big 12, but I don't know what the exit fee is for the Big East. Opie, somebody earlier, we had that conversation really early on in the show, and somebody mentioned it was about 30 to 40 million a year, or a 30 to 40 million buyout, not a year, but $30-40 million buyout, but we were talking, I mean, that could be done over time. It doesn't necessarily have to be one, they don't have to write one check necessarily. And, but if their payout would only be 5 million more a year, or 4.5 million more a year, I don't know that it'd be worth it
No,
for $30-40 million buyout. But is that not? I'm wondering, Opie, is that $9 million if they only come in as a basketball member, or
probably.
is
That's
that if they
probably
come,
Fox.
or is that if they come in as a full member? If they come in as a full member, I see it being more than that. I would think they at least get the 18 to 19 million that Cincinnati, Houston, and USF are getting,
Yeah,
and BYU.
I agree.
But I could be wrong. Could be wrong. One thing I was wondering. Oh, by the way, Apple had their big annual meeting today, or annual convention, or whatever they call it,
Right.
where they usually announce their partnerships. Guess who was not on? Guess who wasn't mentioned? The Pac-12.
No, I can't mention it yet.
Just thought I'd throw that out there. A lot of people thought they might announce it today, and they didn't. So
Yeah, there's some people that think there's a meeting tomorrow in Colorado that could be something too. So
yeah, you're right. Beer Sports Show. You're absolutely right, my man. Memphis in the house. Thank you, Scotty King. Opie says that will supposedly be basketball only. Yeah, that makes sense. If they're only
yeah,
going to join in one sport, and if it's only going to be 9 million, I don't. If I'll be honest with you, if I'm UConn, I don't think I join. I don't think I do it for that, because you're going to increase your travel costs 2 to 3 million a year, probably.
if I'm UConn, my leverage is I want my football to be in the Big 12.
Yep. Yeah. I just don't see them leaving for basketball only, especially if that's the payout. And it honestly makes sense. That number makes sense if it's basketball only, because you're not going to get anywhere near. Basketball's only 25% of the TV deal, right? So
About
that makes
that.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Sergeant Pickles says, "Got to go. All be well at Couz's Corner, and go Dogs." See you, Sergeant Pickles. Thanks for hopping on here, and make sure you subscribe to Numbskull News if you haven't.
Take it easy, man.
Anthony Manzano says, "Couz with Miami getting AAU status and the Big Ten targeting them. What other for the team could they bring? 4 teams, maybe. Is what he's trying to type. Could they bring in? I believe UCF already has AAU status. Don't think they do, but I could be wrong. And I think I know USF got it. I think Florida's the only other school in the state that has it, if I'm not mistaken.
Is Florida
Florida State,
State AAU?
they're not yet. They're trying. They actually thought they were going to get it, and now Miami jumped them in line. So that's
That's too rich. That's too rich.
the U jumped Florida State. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a U. If I had to choose between those two schools, I'd pick Florida State all day because of the Bobby Bowden connection. But I don't really have a dog in the fight. But yeah, Miami jumped them in line as far as their AAU status.
Well, that's it. Florida State to the Big 12.
Yeah,
It's happening.
it's happening, brother.
The GED conference. Come on.
Hey, we ought, that's a good merch idea.
Yeah.
The Big Ten's
Good
got
enough
AAU.
diploma.
Big 12's got GED, baby,
There you go.
and their CDLs.
Good enough diploma.
ACC should have added WU instead of Louisville. Well, they actually only added Louisville after Maryland left. Kind of as an if we weren't in the Big 12 at the time, we might have got in the ACC. But like I said earlier, I think we dodged a bullet.
Yeah,
Not
y'all
getting
got
in.
unlucky with the Missouri thing. I don't know what the hell the SEC was thinking about with Missouri.
And they were actually pretty good the first couple of years they were in the league. They won the SEC East 2 or 3 years in a row, and then they've been in the toilet ever since. Opie says, "Damn, that was funny, Numbskull."
I had my moments.
Scotty says it's cool seeing us together. Love our content. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Jason says Miami and USF jumped FSU in line for AAU, and I don't think UCF is either. But somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think UCF has AAU status, but I do think they were one of the schools. I saw a list the other day, and I think it may have been a Tony Altimore list. So for those of you who don't like Tony Altimore, forgive me. But I think it was a list he had on Mark Rogers' show listing all the research money. And I think UCF does spend a lot of money in research, even more than Notre Dame. But they still got passed up by Notre Dame and the U. But there again, and USF. But USF does a lot of research too. And I wonder, speaking of USF, and if you got to go, man, it's all good. I'm going to wrap it up here in a minute anyway.
Oh, I got 5 more minutes.
Do you
before
think
I get murdered?
I hear you. Do you think USF, by getting AAU and also the upgrades they're preparing to make on their football facilities, do you anticipate them getting in a Power 5 conference anytime soon?
No. I think the American's a good conference. I don't think they're. I would like them in the Big 12. It's going to be a pretty limited amount of group of 5 schools. I think they're from this point on they're going to be getting in. I mean, you can see UConn, you see Gonzaga, but I don't know what all USF really adds to us.
Yeah.
I mean, other than a really good, nice hatred there between UCF and USF.
Yeah, and it gives us. I mean, Tampa is one of the largest markets in the country, from what I hear, as far as TV markets go. But I'm not sure how much that matters anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, it could. I think it matters maybe a little more for us than it would for some of the bigger conferences.
Yeah. Anthony Manzano says, Numbskull and Couz, if West Virginia gets AAU status, does your school's philosophy actually fit with the Big Ten taking away? No, West Virginia's does not, because we're not high enough on the academic rankings list, because our graduation rate is too low and our acceptance rate is too high, which those two kind of go hand in hand. But for those of you who don't know, I've talked about it ad nauseum. West Virginia being a land grant school, one of their goals is to educate as many people from the Appalachian Mountains, especially the state of West Virginia, as possible. It's an undereducated, low income state. So they're trying to educate as many people as possible. In order to do that, you have to have a pretty low admission rate or acceptance rate. You have to let people in with a 2.0 GPA. You know what I mean? And decent test scores. You can't require a 3.5 or a 4.0 or whatever. And a 1,200 on the or 1,300 on the SATs or what, I'm just throwing out numbers, but you get my drift. They have to allow a lot of people in to meet that goal. And of course, when you do
imagine that, Couz. Imagine that a school wanting to educate people.
Yeah,
Holy
really.
shit!
And it gets held against them. in
Yeah.
today's climate, does it not?
How dare you? How dare you educate people?
Exactly.
That who do you
So
who
to
do you
answer
think
your
you are?
But to answer your question, Anthony, even if West Virginia ever got AAU status, I don't think we would ever be allowed in the Pinky Club of the Big Ten.
Well, TCU either. They ain't getting
T-
in either.
and TCU actually has really their academic rankings are actually good. They're actually at like a top 40 program in academics as far as their rankings go. But I don't think they do a lot of research because it's not their mission. I mean, they just have different. They're not a. Some schools don't do a lot of research because it's just not part of their mission. You know.
Yeah. Their mission is to charge $30,000 a semester. That's their mission.
I hear you. Mike Smith says WV parties too much to get AAU status. That might be true too.
Yeah, TCU they don't hold back either.
Georgia has been waiting on the AAU invite as well. Yeah, Georgia's another one that was on that list that I saw. They do a lot of research. There was a lot. Virginia Tech was one that got passed up. NC State, and they all do $200 or $300 million a year more in research than what Notre Dame does. Man, it's such a the AAU status has become a joke. If you want my honest opinion, it's nothing but a political game. What you can do for me lately.
I think they owed it to Notre Dame. I think they owed it to Notre Dame. Did they not create the calendar? Did they not, they give us, we know what time of year it is. You look at your watch, that's the Catholics, sir. They're the ones that gave us time. The concept of time. We owe them. We owe them some AAU. If they ain't
I
worth
guess.
AAU, nothing is.
They're so somebody, and I had never thought about it this way, but here's how powerful Notre Dame is, which kind of makes you sick to your stomach to think about it. But you've got this committee that decides the college football playoff, right? It's decided by conference commissioners and school presidents, or no, it's the commissioners, conference commissioners, all 10 conference commissioners that make up this college football playoff committee deal.
Yeah.
And Jack Swarbrick, the AD of Notre Dame. It's like they're an entire conference, basically.
Yep.
I mean, that's how powerful they are.
So you got to wait for that puff of white smoke, and then Notre Dame gets to make their decision. And you're just going to have to wait on that white smoke. It's the Pope and college football.
Yeah.
That's
one more, and I'm going to let you go. It says, apparently, according to rumors, Texas A&M is trying to leave the SEC. Would they go back to the Big 12 or go to the Big 10? I think Texas A&M has first off, there's no way they're passing up $70 million a year to go to 30.
Nope.
Come back to the Big 12. But I would not rule out them ever going to the Big 10. I wouldn't rule that out.
Yeah, I think I started that rumor.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I think I started that one. I think A&M has a real reputation for getting butt hurt, and so allowing Texas into the SEC and kind of working around A&M, they can get a little salty.
Yeah, agreed.
No other reason either. They don't need another reason.
No, they don't. They kind of got outvoted with the whole Texas thing, and they don't like being in. I mean, now it might be different in the SEC because Texas is probably not going to be able to come in and do whatever they want like they did in the Big 12. So maybe it'll be a little different in the SEC, but I don't think they wanted them in the SEC. I'm pretty confident in that.
Yeah, they don't want anything to do with Texas. They hate them. Their mamas hate them. The grandmamas hate them. Everybody hates them.
Yep. Opie says West Virginia should be respected above all the elitist universities because they are offering education to all, which is what a university is for.
Well,
and James Blankenship, I see your comment about hugs, and I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole, my friend. YouTube would kick me off of here faster than your head would spin. All right. Well, do you go by your actual name, or do you just go by Knumbskull?
Oh, just Knumbskull usually.
All right, that's cool. Knumbskull, I appreciate you joining me, man. It's been a lot of fun. Sorry about the technical difficulties earlier, but you know how it is.
Oh, ain't no problem, man.
Outlaw College Football hops on with a $5 super chat. They have Pope change it. they have Pope changes more often than Notre Dame wins a national title.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. By the way, he has a channel too, and I'm telling you what, if you guys like Numbskull News, you will like college football and vice versa. Those two guys are two of them. There's no BS with those guys. They're both straight shooters. I'd love if you guys ever do a show together, it would be off the chain.
Well, let's work something out.
John Teal, another $5 super chat. If A&M jumped to the Big Ten, how funny would it be if Texas followed the following season? That would be funny. A&M people would have a heart attack, man. Oh,
Yeah.
man. All right. Well, listen, everybody, I appreciate the support. Thank you all for your support. All of you that gave super chats, those of you who were not able to, but just for hopping on here. Please, as you on your way out, if you haven't yet, please hit the like button because even after the live stream's over, it helps the video get more traction on YouTube. And don't forget to go subscribe to Numbskull News on YouTube and go check him out on Twitter at Numbskull News.
Appreciate it, guys.
One of the easiest Twitter handles out there.
Pretty much.
No BS.
Let's look for a fat redneck.
Hey, we'll see you later, man. Thanks for hopping on here with me.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Take it easy.
Take care.